Alrighty, here we go. Special edition from the Gold Coast. BackChat, driven by Fleet Network for season 2023. I don't know if we've had a more credentialed guest in here, to be honest. I mean, this guy's a world champ.
You have not.
We are joined today by Showtime, Shawn Porter. Mate, great to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Good to meet you. Good to be with you. We're on the Goldie. We're not in Perth. We're a West Australian podcast. We speak to sporting guests all around the world, but you're the first world champ we've had on, I reckon.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here. I'm going to apologize in advance. No, I don't normally sound like this.
Jet lag?
No, I don't know. But I do know that on Fight Now I'll be good to go.
Where did you fly in from?
I started in Las Vegas. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Vegas to San Fran to here.
Right. You got here yesterday?
Yeah. I got here yesterday. I probably got to my room and maybe an hour later was headed to the press conference.
I saw you. You were just straight into it, dressed up, suit on.
I love it. I love it. It's just, this is like one of the few times that it actually, you can hear it and see that something's a little off, you know, but I feel great.
Right. So, BackChat, I know you're probably a big fan, but if you're not, right?
I'm not.
All right. So we ask.
Never heard of it.
Right, hey, come on. We're going to get it over to the States. So, I mean, that's what you're doing here. So we ask the first question to every guest we ever have on, right? I know you're a world champ boxer, right? I know you've knocked people out.
Yeah.
I know what your record is.
Yeah.
But the first time I want to say, I don't care just for a little bit. I want to know your greatest sporting achievement.
Okay. Yeah.
Not in the boxing ring.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about your boxing career. We're going to get into that.
All right.
I want to know what you've done outside of boxing.
Yeah.
So, like, you saw this. Here's a cricket ball. My co-host, Dan Const, who's behind the cameras today, he took 5 wickets for 16 in an under 12 game. I was the state 80 meter. Yeah.
No clue what that means.
I was the state 80 meter hurdle champion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
I
Yeah,
like
see,
that.
he was impressed with
I
that
like
one.
Yeah. Very good.
What do you got for us? Your greatest sporting achievement?
I got something great for you. Well, I mean, this is probably more great for American because it's American football. A lot of people don't know this. I grew up playing both boxing and also playing football my entire life, American football that is. When I was in high school, I went to the same high school as a Hall of Fame running back, Larry Zonka.
Wow.
Larry Zonka played for the Miami Dolphins for quite a while, and he went to the same high school that I did. In high school, I was everything, and I had a game where I had 5 touchdowns I had 4 touchdowns in the first half, and that's not common.
Mate, I know. Were they throwing the ball or just giving it? They're just running the rock.
I was that good. I was a running back. I had 4 touchdowns in the first half, and we were up 28-0, give or take. And so we knew that, hey, at some point, Shawn's probably going to start the second half, and then he'll be out of the game, and that's it. And actually, no, I had 5 touchdowns in the first half. And no, I'm butchering this right now. I had 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Yes.
All right, let's go with that. We'll go with 4 touchdowns in the first. So I come out, and I mean the first drive, I get the next touchdown.
Right.
So I get 5 touchdowns, right?
So you're gonna have 20. You're thinking I'm gonna have 20.
Well, I got 5, and at this point, it's kind of the thing we know that when you are blowing out a team, you sit your best players.
Yeah.
You know, the players who don't have an opportunity to play. You don't just continue to drive up the score and you end the game with 70 points, things like that. So we all knew that I was going to be sitting shortly after the second half. We come out, first drive, another touchdown. I got 5 touchdowns, and I'm sitting down. And everybody's running up to me. You're about to break Larry Zonka's record. I'm like, who's that, and what does that mean? And someone explains to me that, hey, Larry Zonka went to this high school. He has 6 touchdowns. You're about to break his record. You just need 2 more. I didn't even know how many touchdowns I had at that point. So I'm like, all right, cool, but I'm not going back into the game. And I had already known that the coaches, this is an easy night for us, you know? And a couple more people come up to me telling me how great of a moment in sports at that school I was having. Shout out to Stowe Monroe Falls High School. They're telling me about how great of a moment that I'm having. And then it starts to kind of resonate with me. Like, wow, you are doing something great here. And my dad he comes down over the gate. He says, hey, you need 1 more. I looked at him. I'm like, I'm not going back in the game. He said, you need to get 1 more. What do you want me to do? I'm like, you're not going back in the game. I can't like force myself back in the game until this is a rare occasion for us to be up as much as we are.
Yeah.
And punt return goes into the game. That's when the team punts it to us. We run it back. And
were you returning?
I was the returner. And because we're never in this position, there's no second returner. Nobody knows who no one knows to run out on the field because I'm sitting. No one's used to me sitting. And so I hear all this hustle and this bustle about somebody's got to go in, somebody's got to go in. And I was like, here's my chance. I threw my helmet on, and as I'm running onto the field, there's somebody else like darting onto the field to reach. I said, get out, get out, get out. He gets off the field. I get on the field, and I'm like running as the punt's coming. I catch the punt, and I return it for a touchdown.
No.
So the most, I would say, probably greatest moment for me in sports outside of boxing, tying Larry Zonka's touchdown record at my high school was
That
6
is unreal.
in three quarters. Yeah.
So this is in Ohio, right? You went to high school at Akron?
Yeah.
Right?
So this is Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Akron is the bigger city in this part of Northeast Ohio, and then I went to a suburb high school of Akron, which is Stowe is the suburb, and then Stowe Memorial Falls High School was the name of the high school.
So you mentioned your dad, Kenny, in that.
Everywhere.
He played a big part in your sporting life, right?
Everywhere.
Or should I just say life?
Yeah. I look at myself. My sons are 5, and the other one is almost 3.
Same.
And I do not know if they're going to do sports whatsoever. And I kind of look at myself, and I put the blame on myself because I remember being 5 years old. I was already in the boxing gym, but I was already like catching footballs and running around all the time. These guys, they just go out and get on the swings all the time. They jump on the trampoline all the time. And every now and then that's like, I hurt my heart thinking like, are they going to be into sports? And I feel like it's my fault that they're not at that point that I was this early on in life. You know?
I mean, so your dad was in your corner, right?
Oh, yeah. My dad has been every step of the way. Mom and dad both. And I think collectively, I'm honestly, man, I'm where I'm at today because both my mom and my dad, they had this core understanding of what just life value is. And my dad really, I think he really got that point across to me at a young age. Had me shaking hands, yes sir, no sir, at a very young age. It just taught me respect, you know. My mom has always been the most genuine person that I've known, has always been the most gracious and giving person that I know, and I feel like I have the best of both worlds inside of me. And I mean, I think that every door is open to me because of that.
That sacrifice, like, do you look back at what they did for you, sporting, like or was it just a part of it?
It was. I always thought it was a part of it, you know.
But now you're a parent yourself.
You become a parent yourself, and you realize how much things are for, you know, just 2 to 3 months of putting your child into a little league, this or whatever, and it's like, wow, like there was true sacrifice. Meals were smaller because of certain reasons, and I'm just grateful.
So, at what point do you make the transition from 6 touchdowns in the high school game to boxing, or is it side by side?
No, it was easy because of that reason, actually. Even though I had 6 touchdowns in that one game, the two different high schools teams that I played for, they both were really, really bad. And when I had the decision to make in terms of going to college to play football or continuing my career boxing, not taking any time away from boxing to do football, could always come back to boxing, but I felt like one had to go and the other one had to stop. And I just looked at it and said, man, I could end up in college with a similar team as both of those, and I'm not enjoying football anymore. Yeah. And I came to my dad and said, hey, listen, I said, we both know what I'm gonna do in the boxing ring. I said, I know what you're going to do, and you know what I'm going to do. I got 10 other guys I got to worry about on the football field to know if they're giving it all they got like me. I don't want to deal with that anymore. And my dad was like, all right, we'll go for it, you know.
So it sounds like from a young age you're driven by winning?
Yes.
What drives it?
100%.
Because you didn't want to lose.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and as a kid, that's all you know. All you know is the trophies. All you know is the traveling and the qualifications to get to the next step, and it's always revolves around winning. Yeah. You know, and so I'm a hard competitor. I compete in anything that we do. My wife and I, we were at home the other day, and my son thought we were arguing. We're playing a game, but I go hard.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you make that jump and full commitment. But
Yeah.
for our listeners, we've never had a boxer on. We've had some UFC guys on, but like boxing, there's the amateur circuit effectively.
Yeah.
And then you got to go pro. So
Yeah.
before you do that, you got to go through some fights.
Yeah.
Like you fought over 200 amateur fights. Before you fight a professional fight.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's really no true way to turn professional in boxing. I actually had an opportunity. I wanted to turn pro right out of high school. I was 19 years old.
Right.
I'm ready to go. My dad said, hey, let's wait. You can make the Olympic team, and then we'll move on beyond that. So, yeah, I probably had another 20 to 30 more amateur fights than I, for the sake of words, had to have. But, yeah, I think I entered my amateur career with close to not quite 300 fights. Yeah. Like more than 250, but less than 300. Yeah, like it's right around in there, and fought a lot of hard, tough competitors. I like to think that between amateur and pro, I've been in the ring with just about everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm healthy, so that's the most important.
Well, you look at it and you sound it. I know you're a little jet lagged, but
I don't sound healthy.
No, that's okay.
But I'm healthy.
Yeah, correct. So, like that time in the amateurs, basically, you must, boxing's boxing.
Yeah.
Like you're still fighting. It's not like pros and amateurs. I mean, you're still fighting someone.
Still fighting.
You must be learning.
Yeah. Yeah, that
you must look back on that and be like, wow, I learned a lot there.
Absolutely. I mean, even again, like I graduated high school in 2006. I told my dad I wanted to turn pro. He said, let's wait until this Olympic run. I think you're gonna make it. That's another 2 years that I waited to become a professional fighter.
Is this the 2008 Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah. I made it as an alternate for the Olympic team.
Wow.
But that's 2 more years to grow, 2 more years to mature, 2 more years to travel the world and see a lot of different things in and out of the ring. I got 2 more years under my belt until before I even became a professional athlete. Or a lot of young men that turn pro at 16, 17. I'm not knocking any of them, but it's like I always say, number one, like you just said, when you train, you're still getting hit.
Yeah.
And so even from that standpoint, you really have to monitor how much you train and spar and things like that. But even when you turn pro, a lot of these guys are young, getting hit by grown men, And so it was like collectively, all the way around, I was just ready when those moments came.
So you're the alternate for the Olympics. Do you look back now and, not wish things could have been differently, but, you just miss out on being the guy? Is that...
Well, for my weight class, I had the toughest weight class in the trials. And I mean, the 6 guys that show up in the division, all 6 of us were national champions. There were no guys who just snuck into the trials and they were easy night and everybody's like, I hope I get him the first night. None of that in my weight class. And I ended up taking 3rd in the trials. The number 2 guy, he went on to turn pro, and we moved into that alternate position. And the way I look at it, man, I know without a doubt I would have come back to the United States with a medal. I think that from a standpoint of the Olympic Games, I think I had a heart for the Olympic Games that the guys in my division didn't have. And I think especially the guy who ended up representing us, he was the sleeper in the tournament and ended up making it, and that's just how it goes,
It is.
Yeah.
You look back on that like that.
But think about it. If I go to China and I come back with a bronze or silver or gold, my career goes much faster than expected. I'm probably not put in certain positions that I was afforded to be in now, or through my career, And so the way I look at it, man, everything happens for a reason, and I don't really have any regrets about it.
So you turned pro not long after that, though. So the Olympics must have been middle of that year, October 2008. You turned pro.
Yeah.
We're in 2023 now.
Yeah.
Man, like it's a long journey.
It's a long journey, but it feels like the snap of a finger now.
Really?
Long as, can I say that?
Yeah.
Long as journey.
Yeah.
Between being an amateur boxer and getting into the ring for my last time as a professional fighter. A long journey and a lot of ups, downs. I like to say, man, the blood, the sweat, the tears, literally all 3 I've had simultaneously. I've had in the gym. I've had actual fights. I mean, the list goes on. So, boxing, I think, is one of those sports that when you look back on it, or I hope that these fighters, when they look back on it and they find themselves healthy, they find themselves with more wealth than when they came in, and they find themselves in a position to do other things in life. I hope that more fighters are able to do that. That's what I was able to do with my career. Just put myself in a position to still be healthy, have more wealth than when I went, way more wealth than when I went in, and I'm able to do other things outside of boxing.
We're going to get into some of those things in a little bit. I know you've got your own podcast, the Porter
Porter
Way. Very
Way
impressed
podcast.
with what you're doing over there.
Yeah,
really impressed.
Thank you. I never sound like this on the podcast. And I know you're thinking, why doesn't he just blow his nose? I have. Don't worry about that.
So, okay, you turned pro 2008. Again, like talking about this like long journey stuff, like there's sort of a 5-6 year journey to become, to win your first world champion. You become the first world champion in 2013, 2014. You're the IBF world champion. What's that like? I mean, that build up, and we can't break down every fight you've ever been in. But like 2008, that's 6 years as a pro.
Yeah.
Then you get your shot.
I mean, it flew by. When I first turned pro, for me, it was just about fighting and making money and winning. I didn't really truly have goals when I first turned pro. When that opportunity to fight for the IBF it came, that was never a goal for me personally. It wasn't a championship, wasn't the goal. So really, all I knew was fighting, putting money in the bank, and just continuing to win. When that opportunity came, it was just another fight for me. The interesting part about that is I fought Devin Alexander, who had already been a world champion and had just recaptured the title and things like that. No one knew who I was. And so you hear a lot of talk. All of the talk was Devin Alexander's taking on this young guy. He doesn't have anything for him. What's next for Devin? And it was enough to spark that fire inside of me.
Did you love that?
Because I'm a winner. And so it's okay if you think that I'm going to lose, but the way it was being projected that there's no way I could beat Devin. And in retrospect, I get it. I just didn't have the profile that he had.
Yeah.
But for me, I took it personal. And it was enough for me to have this mental drive and this competitive drive to just go in there. I literally won every single round of that fight. After the fight ends and I'm called as the winner, like I don't even know, like how do you respond to becoming the world champion, So like I'm standing in the middle of the ring. I already knew that I won. And I'm like, let me just close my eyes and try to remember this moment. Like I didn't know how to handle it. We win, we go in the back room and it's like, all right, let's put that with all the rest of them,
Really?
Yeah, because for me that wasn't a true goal of mine. It was just the next stop. It was another day at work for me. And I still, even from a maturity standpoint, I wasn't mature enough to understand what these moments meant.
Yeah.
I think after that, it really matured me and helped me grow into who I started to become in the ring.
Do you remember getting the belt on? Like I'm assuming, like you get a big belt.
Well, there's video, so I'll explain.
Yeah.
Because there's video of that, and again, like I just truly did not understand. But after I won, and I'll tell a long story short. So I win the IBF a year, like the next fall, I lose the title. The next fall, I sound like you guys. The next fall, I lose the title. I'm sorry, I lose the title the next fall, and I'm at a WBC convention, and they want me to get on the stage with all of the other world champion WBC champions. And I'm like, I don't belong up there. I'm not a WBC champion. No, but you've become a world champion going up there. And I mean, Mike Tyson is up there. Evander Holyfield is up there. My favorite fighter, Marvin Hagler, was up there. I mean, the list goes on. Lennox Lewis was up there. Roy Jones was up there.
Wow.
Everybody's up there. And I didn't feel like I belonged.
Huh.
I felt like that wasn't my place. Even though I had become a world champion, I wasn't a WBC champion. Huh. And so that's when the goals started to kind of become realities for me. It was like, you can't go up there again until you become a world champion.
That's interesting.
And so I made winning the WBC title my goal.
Huh.
And I also made a goal to not go back to any more WBC conventions until I was a champion.
Really?
Yep. And I won that title, the WBC. I think I won in September of 18.
Yep.
And then I was in Ukraine in like October or November at the next WBC convention.
Get me up on that stage.
Yeah, man. And that's how I work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I've always worked. You look at the podcast and the way that things are working for the podcast. I've always been goal oriented, but with the sport of boxing, it wasn't. It was just kind of. Boxing was always extracurricular for me. Football was always my main focus. And then so when the switch came and boxing became the main thing, for me mentally, emotionally, that switch didn't happen like instantly. It took a long time for that switch to come for me.
So you said 2013, that first world title, world championship, it was a personal fight for you. I think people who don't watch boxing understand boxing. And so I'm from a professional athlete career, but, well, background, being personal. Like, I think people that watch boxing would think, well, every fight would be personal. I mean, you're in a ring fighting somebody. Like, how can it not be personal?
Yeah.
But I assume you would go up and down with, right, this is just today's, it's a job.
Yeah.
No personal.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Every fight is different, you know. My fight with Errol Spence Jr., it was a little more personal than most of the fights that I'd had. And that was because, again, like people were saying, Shawn's going to get knocked out. Shawn's not going to win all these things. And it just kind of took me to another level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He personally had said some things about the way I fought, not being like I wasn't a good, sharp fighter. I was really sloppy. I mean, like, just took me to another level from a personal standpoint.
Yeah.
I fought Keith Thurman in 2016, and it wasn't personal, even though he and I had traveled the country fighting at different tournaments. We even fought on the same team one time in an international duel. And so where I had a friendship with Keith, it was like, we'll put the friendship aside. This is all business. And then we'll go back to being friends. And so it just kind of, every fight is a little different depending on.
That's just, it's crazy, I think, for people, again, who just like might see boxing. It's like, well, we have to knock each other out.
Well, that's the part that people they don't understand. Like when you see a face-off, you're expecting somebody to get swung on. When you watch, when you listen to a press conference, you're listening for, I'm going to beat this, I'm going to do that. All these personal things. It's really just, most of us, especially at the elite level, are trained to do this. We're not trained from a personal standpoint. You know what I mean? We're trained from a professional standpoint.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that a lot of people, if you turn on the fight and you don't know who either fighter is, at press conference, you turn it on, you don't know who either fighter is, it'll turn you off and not make you want to watch the fight because they're being cordial, they're being respectful, things like that. That's what we're taught. We're taught how to be respectful. We're taught how to have gamemanship and things like that. You know. But if you turn on the TV and you see two guys going back and forth, you're like, oh, this is gonna be good. That fight when they weren't talking, probably is gonna be better than that one.
Because they're
usually the guys who talk a lot are the guys that can't fight. You know?
That's right. I mean, we're over here on the Gold Coast. We saw a press conference yesterday. There were some guys running their mouths, and I was laughing, and it made me think, like how much is real?
Yeah. Like I'm watching it yesterday. I'm like, well, I know that guy, and I realize now that he's talking because the other guy's talking. I'm like, I don't know that guy. He's talking a lot. I don't, he's like, I'm kind of sold. I think this is going to be a great fight, But then I'm like, he's talking a little bit too much,
Yeah.
So, but everybody has their way of selling a fight.
Yeah.
I've always been under the understanding that you speak your heart and your mind and people will appreciate it. And, I think that's why I am who I am today,
What about preparing for fights? Like there's the physical nature, there's the mental aspect, what we're kind of talking about now. You're done now, you're retired.
Yeah.
Do you miss that physical preparation side, that camp, that preparing for an opponent, single-minded?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not.
That's interesting.
I was in the sauna the other day and my heart rate went up a little bit higher than I would like it to. And I started having flashbacks of certain moments in training. And I was like, yeah, let's not do that again. Yeah. I don't miss that part of it. That part is very rigorous. It's very, very tough. And it's it weighs you down physically and mentally, emotionally. The list goes on.
Did you like it when you were in it? If you can reflect now.
I always liked the last week of training. The last week of training, we call it peak week. And for a lot of fighters, that is the week where they get the best of everything. You know, for me, peak week was when my weight was low enough for me to still perform at a high level.
Yeah.
But I could look at my weight and I was close enough to my weight class.
Right.
You know, so emotionally, mentally, I was connected to training that whole week. Peak week was the week where it was going to be the last sparring session. It was going to be the last hard sparring session. It was going to be the last 12-round sparring, like all these different things. And so I looked forward to peak week because I knew that all that shit was ending right after this. Yeah. And I always, peak week was, we started calling it peak week because we knew that this was the last of it all, but we also knew that I was going to perform better than I had in any other day on this week, you know, or any other week on this week, you know.
You're a welterweight. I mean, for the majority of your career, were you involved in many like really big cuts? Like the fighters I've spoken to, both you at boxing, UFC, the weight cuts is something that like in my sport. You're trying to be, you know, big and ripped and you know, blah blah blah. There's no cutting. No one cares how much you weigh.
Yeah.
Like. For you personally, did you have did you have to cut weight a lot?
I managed it. I made it work. You know, I think that's one thing that I have that a lot of fighters don't have. Once you get past the regimen and the nutritional side of all those things, I started to connect mentally and emotionally to everything that I was doing. And once I started to do that, weight cutting was just like shrugging your, hey, it is what it is. You know, you hear Tim Tszyu in the press conference, they're asking him how much weight he's got to lose. He's like, you know, another kilo or two, you know, nothing. I'm like, that's how you handle it. You treat it like it's nothing, and then it's nothing. If you put a magnifying glass on it, and oh my God, I got this. Now you are investing too much emotionally, mentally, and you start to drain yourself. You know, a lot of fighters don't know how to do that. You know? Yeah.
You've been impressed by Tim Tszyu, haven't you?
I am.
Yeah, and you've like growing with him.
I am. I wouldn't say I'm growing with him, even though I felt like his last fight against Tony Harrison, I felt like I was able to, for myself, see what I perceive to be him growing in the moment. You know, as fighters, we never know when that big moment is coming, and oftentimes people say, "Oh, you're not ready for the biggest moment." The talk about Tim in the last year and a half to 2 years is he's not ready for Charlo yet. He doesn't have that kind of experience. He's never been in the ring on fight night with thousands of people, all those different things. But I thought that he really capitalized on that moment against Tony Harrison, and it showed me that he definitely has what it takes when that time comes.
Yeah, I saw some quotes from you sort of saying maybe 12 months ago you maybe thought differently, but he's been able to sort of stay active.
Yeah.
Some people are saying like the fights that he's taking, it's been risky.
Yeah.
It feels like you, as someone who would know what they're talking about, you're like, that's what you need to do.
It's risky because you don't see fighters doing this.
Right.
Fighters aren't as busy as Tim Tszyu has been.
Right.
I applaud that kid all day and all night because for him to have 2 fights heading into a big fight against Charlo, he needs those experiences. You know, if he decides to sit down and wait on Charlo, he doesn't get those experiences. That fight may end up a lot different than it's gonna be. I have no doubt that fight is gonna be close now between him and between Tim Tszyu and Jermell Charlo. Why is it gonna be close? Because Jermell's been sitting down. Jermell has been inactive. Jermell has had injuries and all these other things. Tim is soaking up the moments. He's building on his momentum. He's getting better. He's staying in training camp. He's staying active. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You'd be a fool to think that Tim Tszyu is gonna get rolled over by Jermell Charlo at this point.
He's out there getting bitten by dogs. People breaking into his car.
I don't know what's going on, but you know, yeah. So, but take a look at that though.
Yeah,
that's everybody's life. People get bit all the time. People get their cars, you know, jacked and all that kind of stuff all the time. But because of who he is, he's under that magnifying glass. Yeah. And where anyone else would get bit and they just have to recover and they're going about their way, his bite is under a magnifying glass. Every single day, people want to know if it's healing. Every single day, people want to know, are you still fighting? He's taking this and making it exactly what he needs to make it. We're human. We're professional athletes. You see everything that we do, but guess what? I'm gonna minimize everything so that it's not a big deal on fight night. You know, and I just think that from a mental standpoint, and again, it's showing his maturity. You know,
talking about big deals, we spoke about it briefly, but that WC World Championship, the one that you go, I'm not coming back on this stage until I've got one.
Yeah.
What's that fight like? Like, what's the lead up to that? Do you feel under pressure, or is it like I'm here for this? I'm made for this.
I'm working on my documentary right now.
Cool.
There's a lot of things that have gone on in my life and in my career that a lot of people aren't privy to, and I'm looking forward to this documentary coming out and being able to show everyone kind of the truths and things like that. But I'll fast forward to fight night. Fight night, we had a game plan where we were going to force the counterpuncher to punch first. That's Danny Garcia. He's a counterpuncher by nature. He likes to wing a left hook right over your right hand, a right hook, or a left hook right through your jab and knock you clean out. And we knew the best way to beat him is by taking that away from him early and then going after him late in the fight. And so the first couple of rounds we're kind of laid back, just kind of like boxing, staying on the outside, not that inside brawling, aggressive attack that I normally have.
I was gonna say that's you.
That's kind of that had become the norm for me. But we felt with this one, let's switch it up and we have to switch it up and do something different because that plays into his rhythm. So let's take his rhythm away from him. Then we did that, took his rhythm away, and probably around 6th or 7th round, we started turning it up round after round, started taking it to him round after round, and we win that fight. Funny thing is to circle all the way back to when I won the IBF. Didn't know how to respond. Knew that I won every single round, so I knew that I won the fight. With this one, it still felt close. Even though we felt like our game plan worked to a T, still felt close. So there's this uncomfortable ability with the rest of the, like, how's this decision gonna go, you know? And so I'm standing in the middle of the ring and truly feeling like I won the fight, but just I gotta hear it, you know? And man, when I heard my name called, it was weird, man. I had the same feeling as when my first child was born. My first child just comes out, and I was like, wow, you're there. You know what I mean? Like, here you are, you know? And the same thing with the WBC title. It was like, wow, I heard it. It's real, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said we a lot. Boxing's a single sport, single athlete sport.
Yeah.
I think, again, people who don't know boxing would be like, wow, there are two guys in the ring by themselves.
Yeah.
It's a team, right?
Yeah.
So when you win that
Yeah.
and you got your dad in the corner, what's that feeling like? Because it's not individual, is it? I know it's an individual goal, but it's not individual.
Once you go out there in the middle of the ring, it's individual.
Sure.
But if you're in tune with your camp, your coaching, your coaches, they're coaching us while we're out there in the ring. And a lot of fighters that may feel alone in the ring, they don't have that same kind of camaraderie and team.
Yes.
At least not the kind that I had. My dad was right there in my corner. I'm hearing instructions while I'm in the ring. As I'm coming back to the corner, I'm getting instructions. I'm getting the hard finger pointing instructions in the corner before the next round, all that. And so what I realized really early on in my career was that I wouldn't be where I was without my dad. And so my language just changed. It was everything became we. And to this day, I looked at my dad the other day. I said, I don't know if you realize this, but I say I bring you up in every interview that I do. He said, yeah, I recognize that. I said, I don't do it on purpose, but everything that I know is because of what you and what we have done. He said, yeah, I get it. But that's how I am, you know? So, yeah, even though this was, as you know, in the middle of the ring, it's one-on-one, it's always been team for me.
Must have been a proud moment.
Yeah.
Like if you compare it to your birth of your first child.
Oh man, yeah. And then the WBC, they have a title for the coaches as well. So there was the WBC in the ring for me, that belt for me, and then there was a belt for my dad.
Really? That's cool.
And they briefed us before the fight. Listen, if you guys win, we're gonna bring this belt over to you for your dad. We want you to put it on your dad's shoulder. And I'm like, they call my name, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And my dad's bumping me like, hey, put the belt on me. I'm like, I'm trying to soak this up. Leave me alone. I need a moment.
Piss off, Dad.
Yeah.
What's it like? I'm assuming you're in like a dressing room or after like you're out in the ring, you have cameras, your people.
Yeah.
Can you remember like coming back and like everything stopping and then?
Do you talk about what I miss in on fight night and things like that?
Sure.
I miss before the fight and I miss after the fight. Before the fight, you arrive, and I don't know about other fighters, but this is how I feel. Always felt. When you arrive, they got you in like a shuttle or a big SUV or whatever, and we jump out. I mean, we are a team. We're an army. We're soldiers, and everybody's right behind me. You know what I mean? My dad is literally right behind my shoulder, and then the rest of the team just follows the cameras. They got the cameras on you, and for me, it was always that I have arrived moment. You know what I mean? And then you go into the locker room, and when that door closes to the locker room, it's like everything that matters closes off. And the only thing that matters is this fight, this opponent, this game plan, these people in here, my coaches, my team. And if we got loved ones, those are the only people that matter. Everything, you close everything. You go out there to the ring, you put it down, you hope you had the best night of your life. And then when you leave the room or you leave the arena and you come back into that room, now everybody else is in there waiting on you. The family is there, the close friends that are there, the pastor is there, everybody's there waiting on you. And it's that I have arrived moment again, And that's what I miss most about the professional boxing game, because to me, those were the moments that I enjoyed wholeheartedly without anything else. In the ring, you enjoy hitting somebody else. Yeah, from time to time, you make a slip and you land a good punch. You like, man, I got you right there. Like, let's keep it going. You can't reflect on that too long. Let's keep it going. You enjoy some moments, but it's happening so fast. It's going so fast. That arrival moment. And that second arrival moment back into the ring or back into the room, win, lose, or draw, those were the best moments for me. Those are the ones I miss.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. A couple more questions, mate. You've been very, very appreciative of your time. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man.
The walkout songs, how is it, you got a guy that spends time on that, or you're like, just play anything, I don't care?
Music was always in the room with me when I trained, when I ran, whatever I did. I even got to a point where I was trying to get headphones in my ears while I was swimming. They never stayed in. Put a headband on one time. They never stayed in. I put a big shower cap on. Could never keep the music in when I swim. But music was always present for me. Yeah. And so what I noticed I would do was when I would be doing something and I would start to hear the same song over and over, I would say, that's the one for this fight. For a long time, my walkout music was God and Me by Mary Mary. And because I always felt like when I performed, you may think that this kid's good. You may think that this guy's got it all. Like, it's the God in me. Like, I have these abilities. I have this talent because God has put it in me, I started to branch out and do some other things near the end of my career. But it was always gospel. The very last fight is a rap song by a rapper by the name of Rhapsody. She's from America. I don't remember exactly where she's from. The name of the song is Godzilla. So it's not technically a Christian song, but when I listened to the music, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do for this walkout? I need something big. And I had never wanted to use any type of rap artist, anyone walk me to the ring. I just felt like it was always sloppy. But we were able to put that together. Big E is a friend of mine from the WWE.
Nice.
We called him up. We said, hey, can you put this together? And we want to do this for the intro. And he comes and is almost like a preacher and kind of preaches me my entrance. And then she walks me to the ring singing a song, So
wow.
Yeah, for me with that one, I think we put that together the week before the fight. But prior to that, I had never really put much time into a ring walk.
Yes.
But with this one, knowing it was my last fight, I was like, man, I got to go gotta go all out for
I
this
got
one.
little. That sounds good.
Look, you guys can look it up on YouTube. I think it ended up being the #1 walkout of the year for 2021.
I wish we had that. We never get that.
Yeah.
People just clapping and bloody streamers and banners.
Now I'm going to tell you
around.
what you're going to do. So you cut now. So that's gone. You guys don't see that, but you cut to the video.
Don't worry. We got the
walkout.
team on it.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
you guys know what you're doing. Yeah.
That's good. It'll be over the top. It'll be playing. It'll be going in and out.
Yeah.
Okay? You've won some massive fights. You've fought some huge arenas.
Yeah.
The crowd, like, is that ever something that you think about? Can you hear, or are you like tunnel vision?
Yeah.
Speak to a lot of sports people here. Like, the crowd's different for everyone.
Here's the truth. If you guys look at any fight of me walking to the ring, you'll see me looking up and looking around. I'm very, like, outside of what I do, I'm very humble. Like to be like I'm like a introvert and an outrovert at the same time, or extrovert at the same time. I don't know how it happens, but it's that way. But when I fought, I needed all eyes on me. And so when I would come to the ring, the arena had to be full. If the arena was full, I was gonna have a great night, there hasn't been very many fights where I walk to the ring and I'm like, where's everybody at?
What about the wins? Clearly once you go pro, you're starting to win some money.
Yeah. Oh, let me one more thing about the crowd. My last fight, knowing what kind of style I had to use for this fight, for the sake where it starts slow. Like, Terrence and I, neither one of us really engaged in that first round. In that first round, maybe near the half point of the fight, of that first round, you hear people start to boo a little bit. And they start to boo, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't say this out loud, but I'm thinking to myself, not yet. Be patient, y'all, not yet. Because I know they want that big bang.
Yeah.
But I knew that wasn't the right kind of style to fight against him. And I knew early it wouldn't be good for me, And so I hear people booing, and I've always been in touch with just about anything that happens in the ring,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because some guys and girls are like, never heard it, never looked at it. It's
I had a saying. My saying was, I don't condone booze, And so nothing that I do is boring. Nothing that I do isn't. Everything that I do is fun, And so I don't condone booing. But I knew when I heard boos, and I was like, I knew this was coming. I was like, but you guys got to be patient with this one, because I can't just rush in there,
All right, so you've won some big fights. I'm assuming there's some big money on the end of those things. You ever just gone and bought something stupid? You look back and go, what am I doing here, man? Why
No, I haven't. No,
really?
I haven't. No,
That's good.
Actually, I leased a Porsche, and I just returned it last year, I think. And I guess maybe I was trying to just console myself because I knew that I wasn't gonna get another one. I wasn't gonna upgrade and things like that. It's like, I don't even know why I bought you. Like, I literally having a conversation like, you've been a waste of my life. Wasted gas. You just been sitting there, like, literally, like, just having it in one of the final conversations with the car.
I mean, in a Porsche. What was your first car? Do you remember your first car? I didn't ask you that.
I remember my first car, 2000 Chevy Impala.
Wow.
Yeah.
Color?
We got it all white. It was white. It had it was a security car on the lot. So when I bought it, they left the security windows, the security lights on it. I mean, they worked the whole nine. I could be in the car. I could tilt it and push the button, and it'll shine on people. Then my dad and I, we went and tinted the windows really dark.
Wow.
And people in Akron really thought that I was like a legit security car. I promise, true story, you would see people walking, and they turn the other way. You see people walking, and they start walking a little bit faster. I saw somebody, ended up being a friend of mine. First, he hadn't seen the car. He stops, and he's looking. My dad rolls the windows down and says, "Hey, what you doing out here?" "Oh, coach, man, I was about to run. I thought you was the police." We had so much fun with that car, man.
Driving around.
Yeah.
Sure, one of the policemen driving around.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Now, one more story about this car.
Please.
So it was a security car, so it didn't have the middle console.
Yeah.
And when I first got the car, my dad didn't have his license. So when we would go on long trips and we'd have to drive 5 to 6 hours, something like that, he'd say, when I drive, if by chance I get pulled over or anything like that, you sit down in the middle because there's no console right there. There's just seat, space, seat. You sit down in the middle, I'll go over you, and then you get back, and then you get over there. We never had to do that. Disclaimer: we never had to do that, but it was a fun car.
That's unreal. I mean, it sounds like you had some fun times.
Yeah.
Mate, we're probably going to wrap this up. I think you've got some obligations today. We do finish every podcast with some questions from our fans. So I've got a couple. We call this, so my last name's Schofield. So it's not social media.
Mr. Schofield.
Social media.
Oh,
you like that? See what we did there?
Social media. Yeah, let's do it.
Social media. This is by the fans. For you. You've had enough from me.
It's awesome.
Chippy88. He wants to know, how is the Aussie boxing perceived in the States?
I tried to be as nice as possible yesterday
honest.
when I answered this question, but you over here, it's like you guys don't really touch the States. Tim is going to be the first fighter in a long time that I know of, and I'm going to disclaimer right now, I don't know. I'm not a boxing historian, so I obviously know Tim Tszju's dad. And I know that his dad has made a lot of noise in the United States. And for me, I do believe that he'll be the first fighter to do it since his dad. So very poetic right there.
No,
but for the most part, you guys don't really get to touch that elite level enough to start performing in the U.S., you know?
Yeah.
And I think that when boxing is not happening in the U.S., it's somewhat irrelevant unless you're a Joshua. Even Tyson Fury, when he fights in the States, people come. But when he fights outside of the States, people are like, "Okay, cool, that's cool," you know. So I think he's definitely got the country on his shoulders.
That's good. I got a couple of rogue ones for you. Tub Nation asked, "What's the I don't think they have. What's the most amount of wheat bix you've eaten in one sitting? Do you know what?
I don't even know what the hell that is.
So it's like a type of cereal here in Australia.
Oh yeah, I've never had that before.
They're like little rectangle, like wheat, like all compacted together.
Okay,
so like,
what's like?
So there was like this thing back in like the 90s.
Like Wheaties, yeah.
But like they're like little square things, like rectangle things.
Not Wheaties, Wheatables. I think it's called Wheatables. With
so
the
like
little frosting. Does that have frosting
in
on
the
top?
States? They'd be this big. In Australia, they're like that long.
Oh.
And it's probably this thick.
Oh.
And you got to put milk with it.
Oh.
And like back in the day, it was like a thing that athletes here is like, how many wheat bix do, like how can you eat? Like Brett Lee was smashing out 15 as a cricketer.
Dang.
Yeah. So
I mean, what about you?
Mate, I was not a big wheat bix eater.
No.
Couldn't do it. It's like the wheat bix challenge where you don't put milk with it and you eat them dry. Yeah. And you're like spitting out. So I don't think you have an answer for me.
No, I don't.
Tappy87 asks, how do you like your eggs cooked? Sincerely, the Eggman.
I am a sunny side up kind of guy.
Okay.
Just had some sunny sides this morning. Yeah.
Good. And last one from Chippy88, most difficult opponent to prepare for. Back to fighting, back to boxing. Who was the guy that you were like, or maybe was there a guy that you didn't fight that you were like, geez, would like to have fought him? I know you never fought Floyd.
Yeah, I think for me, every camp was like serious. Every camp didn't matter who the opponent was. It was like, we are working hard and we're getting ready. You know, I think the one guy out there that I always wanted to fight, or that I thought I genuinely wanted to fight was Tim. Wow, now I'm drawing a blank. Timothy Bradley.
Yes.
Yes, excuse me. Timothy Bradley was just, to me, he's one of the best fighters to do it at welterweight, and he's just got into the Hall of Fame last weekend, the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And boxing fans out there that know Tim, it was funny because I just looked at that fight when I was younger. I was like, man, he was already retired. I was like, man, that would have been a good fight for everybody right there. It wasn't really just about me fighting and beating him. It was like, I wanted to give the world something, you know? Yes. And then people started to talk about that fight. Like, man, that would have been a badass fight right there. And I was like, yep. So we've talked about it too. He's like, yeah, man, it would have been nothing but headbutts. I'm like, yeah, right, man. That would have been a great fight. That's
unreal. Yeah. Shawn, Showtime, Porter. How does Showtime? How do you get Showtime? Do you get to pick that yourself?
It worked out for me. My dad picked that name for me. and probably started calling me Showtime when I was around 15 or 16. And I remember being on like international teams as an amateur.
Yes.
And nobody had any nicknames. There were only a couple fighters that had like actual ring names. And I remember trying to come into the room with Showtime, and people were like, "Get the hell out of here! What are you talking about? You're Shawn Porter." But it really, I walk down the street in New York, and I'll hear people say, "Hey, Showtime!" You know, it's really caught, and I've even entertained the thought of changing my first name to officially Showtime.
Actually?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
We had a guy here in Australia that did that, Buddha Hocking. His name was Gary Hocking, and he changed his name for 2 weeks to Whiskers. It was a brand of cat food, and he changed. He's got a sponsorship deal.
So
he was the first guy
first name
anywhere,
is Whiskers,
and he changed his name officially to Whiskers for 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
Because they gave him a cat food sponsorship deal. So don't do that.
Wow.
So Showtime's better than Whiskers. I'll give you that. I know you're done, mate. If you've loved what Shawn's had to say, the Porter Way podcast, you guys are doing great things over on YouTube.
Thank you, man. I want to do this the Porter Way before we get out of here.
Please.
So on the Porter Way, what we do at the end of every episode is we do motivation.
Okay.
That motivation I've seen people out and they've literally said, "You've saved my life with your motivation. You have changed my life with your motivation. You got me through this and that with your motivation." And I'm like, man, I'm truly living in my purpose and very, very grateful for that. And so I'm going to put you on the spot. You got any motivation for your Sko Media fans?
Motivation. Yeah, probably. Like I look back at my career. Now you're going to have to go and study up on this yourself.
I will. Honestly, I will.
I was the most dropped player in my team's history of their entire organisation. So
in boxing, that's not a good
statistic. Right. But I wear that with a bit of a badge. I think that because I was dropped so much, I used to have to, show adversity, show resilience, fight through that adversity, I should say. And everything in life isn't just given to you. And, certainly for me anyway, it's like even post footy, like this stuff that we're doing here on BackChat, you got to work hard, and life doesn't always go the way you want it to. And so for my sporting career, what I've actually learned coming out into like the business world and podcasts and media is you need to work hard, and it's not going to go your way. And that's all right though. And you're gonna have like real hard times. You're gonna, come up against it, and you're gonna, look at some things and go, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but usually it works out okay.
I'm very, very appreciative of that. That is, I think people all the time you say, man, that sounds cliche to just never give up, but you are a walking testimony of where never giving up gets you.
It's gonna work.
Just gotta work.
I know it's like sometimes about how's post career training. I'm like, like I'm working harder now than I did as an athlete. Like as an athlete, you got this staff behind you, you got scheduling, you've got fans, you've got all this stuff. Out here in the real world, it's like I'm working my ass off. And I did as an athlete, but I work harder now, I think. I learn a lot through sport. But it's more like life lessons.
Very good.
Like that.
Very good. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a great question.
For me, I was walking yesterday with a couple of fighters, and that, "Are you coming back?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Man, you just seem so happy." Yeah, I'm happy. I'm 100% happy. And then everything that I needed to do to get right here. And I said, how many fighters after their careers get to travel the world and still make money? So, well, I mean, Floyd's doing it, but outside of Floyd, how many fighters truly get to travel the world and make money? And I'll piggyback off of what you just said. It is a matter of never giving up, having goals, and doing what it takes to achieve those goals. My goal was never to be the best fighter in the world. It was just not my goal. But my goal definitely is to be the best boxing podcaster, commentator in the world. And I'm in Australia where a lot of other people are at home waiting on their next call with one specific network. I get to go anywhere and do anything with every network, and everybody appreciates me, man, and I appreciate it. So
he gets it.
Get it. You got to get it.
Shawn Showtime Porter, mate. We appreciate your time.
You got it.
Thank you
sir.
very much.
I'm not gonna let you do that again. Showtime, Shawn Porter.
Sorry, my man. Showtime, Shawn Porter. Please.
They'll edit it.
Please,
Don't
please,
worry.
please, please take my sincere apologies. You know how to do this as well. You're going to find us on socials, BackChat __ or BackChat _ studios. You can find us over there. Showtime, hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. You can send us an email. A big thank you to our supporters and partners and people that made this happen. KO Sports, thank you very much. Fleet Network powering the podcast for 2023. We've got Swimply, Whippersnapper Whisky, Margaret River Roasting Co., BlueBet, Shelter Brewing Co., Leaderville Cameras, and all of the best stuff for our VIPs at Patreon. Thank you very much. Thank you, my man.